checking in with a lot of the drivers that we're running in the ISMA MSS series this year. The guy with me right now ended up missing a couple of races, actually. Missed the first race and then the final race at Oswego. He had a work commitment, so he was only able to qualify. That was a rainy day on Saturday. They moved to Sunday. He couldn't do it. But Mo Lilje still ended up in 10th place after really only getting all but 2 finishes in the deal. So let's head out to Ohio. Where we're going is actually somewhere in the northwestern part of Ohio. It's called Clyde. Right near Sandusky is where that is. 40-now-year-old Mo Lilje joins us here. Mo, how we doing, man?
Not too shabby. How are you tonight, Doug?
Good, good, good. So how are things coming? Have you talked to the car owner? Do we have a pretty good feel what we're doing this year?
So, yes, we do. It was a pretty long stint where we didn't have a lot of communication as far as with holidays, and everybody's real busy and tied up with that stuff. But here the last month or so, we've started to ramp up communication again and get things going and figure out where everything's at.
Okay.
It's in one degree, it's kind of nice to, not have to go work on the car every night, but also it's also an added challenge that the car is roughly 6 to 7 hours away from home, and kind of poses another challenge as far as when we do get things going as far as testing. And I either have to drive up that way or Dan has to bring the car up clear out here to get some laps in. So that's kind of been one of the challenges we've been trying to overcome throughout this whole process.
Do we know how that's going to work this year? Because there are going to be some changes. We'll get to that in just a little bit that they're making to the car. So I would imagine we do want to practice if we can, right?
Yes, 100%. There was some brief discussions about it. If everything works out right, then probably whatever's more convenient for Danny and the guys as far as meeting up and getting a place to turn some laps and see where we're at with the car.
Gotcha. Okay. And, of course, Oswego does do a bunch of practices. So the first race on the series, by the way, is the first. So it's coming up. It'll be here before we know it. Unlike a lot of the guys we talked to, 95% of the stuff that Mo has done has been with the wing. He's been in it since 2003. Got a couple chances in 2002. Is there a possibility we might do a couple things without the wing? I know you did last year.
Yes. If things get rolling and we find a little bit more speed in the car, then yes, if at all possible, we do like to support Oswego. I really think the last few years, all the organizations have done a great job as far as kind of unifying things and trying to help each other out with scheduling and the challenge series and everything to promote better car counts and put a better product out every weekend for all the fans.
Should be able to make all the races because there's a couple of new dates this year.
Yes. New dates, the one at the end of the year and was at Caraway in North Carolina.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I've watched some in-car footage of there, but other than that, I'm not real familiar with the place. But the other dates are all places that we've had stops in years past, so at least we have some familiarity with it.
Yeah, the new ones are both on the same weekend, as a matter of fact, August 15th and 16th. Claremont on the 15th for a 75-lapper, and then Lee. So we do know those places pretty well.
Yes, Claremont I've only been to once. Lee I've been to, I want to say 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
And I believe Claremont, I think I finished 3rd with Dan there 2 years ago at Claremont. I want to say I could be wrong on that. And I've had some solid finishes at Lee as well and found pretty decent speed there. So I'm definitely looking forward to those 2 events.
One of the other changes on the schedule, yes, they're back at Evans Mills for the last actual point races of the season, but they've added a 40-lapper on the Friday night. 13th and 14th, by the way, is when they're doing that of September. Everybody tells me they like having that extra date.
Yeah, it's nice. And I was pleasantly surprised. I heard good things about Evans Mills, but until you get to a track or facility, you don't really fully know what to expect. But the track and all their employees were really accommodating to us, and I think we put on a pretty good show for them, and I'm looking forward to getting back there as well.
Yeah, I heard 2 and even 3 grooves at various times on what is a short track that a lot of people were wondering if there was going to be a second groove.
And honestly, when I first hit the track, I wondered that myself. I wondered how well it would race. It was a fun track, good momentum, but until you put all the cars on the track and, everybody's flogging the car for everything it's worth, you don't really know how racy it's going to be. And we've been to places like that before where I've thought the opposite. Like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Racing is going to be awesome. And
It didn't work out.
the racing and passing it just follow the leader. So, but it did end up being pretty racy. I was pleasantly surprised there as well.
So the big thing, obviously, when we were talking about this time last year, was the merger and how all that was going to work out with ISMA and, of course, Midwest Super Modified Series coming together. How did that work out in your mind as you sat there as a driver?
I think it was a huge success. I mean, the goal is to put the best product on the racetrack as we can week to week, put on the best shows we can put on so we can draw in new fans, maintain and keep the fans that, support us already, keep them happy, give them some good shows, and, more cars, then that's just going to take care of itself. So I think early returns on the merger were very positive, very good.
Is this about the right amount of races as you look at it? Because I know it's a little busier than it was last year. Is this about right in your mind? About every other weekend is that ideally what we'd like to do?
I think so. I mean, you want to keep guys back to the car count thing. Give guys a chance if they get tore up. It's not like they can, run over to the local speed shop and buy some radius rods or a front axle or common things like that. It's nice to give guys a chance if they get bent up or tore up to get their stuff back together and make it to the next show.
They got a printable schedule, by the way, on ismasupers.com. That's how you can find out more. That's where I printed the schedule that I've got in front of me right now. Mentioned we're going to do some changes, and I know that I don't want to ask for too much specificity on this, but what are we exactly doing to the race car over at Danny's place?
So, the previous few seasons with Dan, we started from where we started to where we got to last season is leaps and bounds better.
Yeah.
And I think the second half of the year, we kind of got some things figured out and don't have the speed that we need to qualify well and consistently start well. But once we get into race trim, then I feel like we're doing very well. But that being said, we need to get some more speed in the car. That's what we've been struggling with onto the testing ordeal. The challenge that the distance between us presents itself.
Sure.
Really rears its head when we're trying to get things figured out there and change things.
So do we need to be better early in the show then? Is that what you're talking about, basically?
Yeah, earlier in the day. We've hot lap wise, we're towards the mid-pack-ish, and in qualifying, you really need to qualify in the top 12.
Sure.
And we're usually like right on the bubble. So if we could find a few tenths, I mean, that would go a long ways for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a car that gets better as the day and the race goes on, but just like any series where you qualify, if you start too far behind, it ends up becoming a problem. So how do we know what to do? What do you think we're actually going to do? And again, tell me what you're comfortable with as far as, what do we actually do to make that happen?
So we tried different things with concentrating on roll centers. Years past, it was in the rear. This year, we worked more on the front.
Okay.
And ended up lowering front roll centers and got some things figured out. So the goal is to re-engineer the front A-frames and kind of get the car to that happy point and still have some adjustability available.
Okay. Only got about a minute left as the time just goes so fast with these guys. So what would make for a successful season? Couple of wins, top 5, or what do you think is realistic?
We'll try and work on getting that first win that's been so elusive for us. And it would mean I can't begin to tell anyone what it would mean to me to get these guys a win. I'm itching to get a win whenever I'm on the racetrack, but I know what Danny and all the guys put into the race car to get it ready and work on it during the race. I go out and beat the hell out of the thing, and then comes in with the wheels falling off of it, and they're beating on it with hammers and shit to get me back on the racetrack. So I know what it would mean to them to get a win. So that's going to be priority number one, and then once we get some speed in the car, we'll get some consistent finishes going, and we'll see what happens.
Only a few seconds, so what would be the track you would think it would be most likely to happen at, if you had to guess?
Lorraine's been pretty good for us. I really like the shorter tracks. Lorraine's been really great for us, so I'm happy to see some of the shorter tracks on the schedule and less of the bigger ones.
Come back for more with Mo and the rest of the guys right here. You're watching on YouTube and ISMA Supers. Again, make sure to subscribe, turn on the likes, leave a comment if you'd like.